The next thing I'll talk about here is gold. You know, gold. This is, you're probably catching this elsewhere. This is not a huge insight. It's continuing to do what we're looking at. But I want to comment that we're at a 38% retracement from this high to low. This high to low retracement here, it's coming at this convergence point of this downtrend, 1923, 1798, and then this 13 some odd, 1350, 1380 level. Here's your rally into 38%, and here's your same, and here's the zoom in of the can. So look, we traded higher all week and came down, and then the other week too we did the same. Now if you know this is your downtrend line here, it's pretty close. If you use closing lows and not, if we just use this sort of area, this is a topping spike, so we want to just kind of be aware of that resistance area. If we line it up as best we sort of can with this area here and a closing low there, it's pretty close. You know, this is the zone. And when you get up there and you engulf here and you tail, and look at these two. There's your zone, 1335 or so. This is the area, really, right? This is what we're looking at. We know that, and we can see it here. You know, the uptrend here is what we're all kind of watching, and you can see that that's the channel. It's slightly wedging, right? It's slightly starting to wedge into this area, which we want to see, but you want to see it say, okay, surge is off, lags, rolls here, and then breaks. And then that would open the door for something like that. And we know seasonality here on this starts to get really bad in September for election year seasonality, so we got that coming up. I expect this week to be the one where we really get confirmation. We'll be looking for it. And then Newmont as well. So Newmont I put on the right hand side. You can see this big decline, this huge rally. It's a 61% rally back to 47. This is an area where, you know, we're looking at positions in different ETFs and things, so that makes it kind of easy to trade, and it's definitely an area worth shooting for. I mean, this would be a great rollover here. Okay, so here's the after on that gold trade. You can see that the market rolled over, and so the video I was working on at the time that I showed, basically that was the peak, the 1377 peak, and this whole range in here did end up turning into a top. You know, I didn't put it in the video, but it was posted on the main thread for subscribers, and it's a cool tool that you can use in certain extreme situations. So first of all, with Newmont, right? What I did here is I pulled up a chart at the time that basically showed, here's Newmont, and this is over 1990 all the way until then. But what was interesting at this time, just in general, is it was the highest actual RSI reading in 25 years. It was in 82. That's how high it got on the 14 period RSI. You could see that it was so extended. The rate of change is what interested me the most, because this was the sharpest rate of change in any period of time in the history of the stock, outside of, and actually even including, the financial crisis. And one other last thing with respect to that trade, and so for members and in general, one of the things you can always do, one of my favorite stocks in there was Randgold, but look how far it fell, 126 all the way to 69, 67, and that's in July. So this could be a leap. There's a lot of different ways to trade. The inverse ETF is one. I have a video on that. I hope to put that out shortly here, and we may be part of the package that we send, but you'll see that, you know, this is a market intel product sort of macro trade. That's where this gold video was in. And so by monitoring everything out there, when things like this are happening, I'll trade just about any which way I can find. I mean, in gold, obviously, there's so many things. I mean, I love, you know, leaps against something like this when it's this extreme. There's shorter term options. There's the inverse ETF, of course, if you look. And I use dust in this trade a bit because for myself, when we were so elevated here, it was an easy thing to do on this. Now, not all macro trades are that way. It depends on the index. It depends what we're trading. But I wanted to kind of show a few tricks to this actual trade. So sometimes you dig under the hood at some of the individual miners in the space. Like I said, Randgold is one of the most, the loftiest sort of name. Here's a doji outside the Bollinger. The price gets outside. It's much better on something like this. You get an extreme move. And I'll show you actually. This chart is pretty interesting on the weekly. even now. Let me show you how far it moved. Look at that. So it was all the way to 126. The weekly high actually was a doji itself. So those daily charts I just showed you, it ended up printing a doji, and look how far it fell. And if I back this up a little bit more, you'll see that there's actually prior resistance at 123 too. So it's not always perfect that way. In this case it was, and you know, by pointing it out and understanding these strategies, you can always look for things like this by using multi-time frames and different techniques. And on NEM there was some reversal signals that are not disclosed. You know, I talk about them or I hunt for them, and I'll put them into the recommendations during the weekly video, or the weekly or weekend videos.